Alright guys, welcome back to Mr. Post Frame. Today we're going to continue on the doghouse series. We're going to take you up through putting the roof sheathing on and the synthetic paper. But before we get started, if you guys are interested in designing your own Barndominium, post frame shop, any of that stuff, check out the link below. Our design service is back40buildingscompany.com. We can help you out with whatever you need to design. Also, if you are a self-builder or want to self-GC your own build, make sure you check out our Patreon group. It's a great group of other self-builders, of other people that are GCing their own project. We talk about different topics every month. We have lives. It's a great community. There's a place where you can share your build, learn from everybody else on there as well. So check that out. But let's go ahead and jump into the show. Alright, we're going to be putting up fascia boards, and on my sidewalls we have 8-foot spacing on our columns, posts, and trusses. So our first bay is going to need to be an 18-foot 2x6 if you want to span 3 trusses. So what I do is I use 18-footers on my ends and then 16s on the middle, because they will go from the center of a truss, the center of a truss, the center of a truss. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my overhang on this one end, which is 18 inches. And then I will mark back to where my next truss tail is, make a mark, and then I'll put this up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook over the end of my truss, pull to the edge of this one, and then I'll know what my measurement is back. Alright, so another thing you can do, now I'm ready to put this up, have it marked. Alright, you can see I have my truss marked, so I know exactly where it goes. I should say I have my fascia board marked, so I know exactly where it goes. A little trick, not really a trick, it's just really simple. Instead of holding my square up here, so I put my fascia board up high enough, I'm just going to take a piece of wood and screw it to there, and I'll just bump my fascia board up to it. Then I know when I run my plywood, it'll hit the outer edge of my fascia board. Get a couple screws started here. Tack that. Now I can go down here, get that fastened, and then come back. Alright, now since I tacked that one, I can get this one in place and then go back, finish running my screws in. come back and finish this one. Now we'll go down there, screw that in, cut it off, and we can add our next fascia board. That easy. Now we can add our next board. So we'll just butt a 16-footer to here, take it down as far as I can, screw it, cut the center off, and then go on to the end. Alright, so recap, I started down there, I marked my 18-inch overhang, measured back to my first truss tail, made a mark, screwed that in, and then I just worked my way this way. So first board was an 18 because I had to deal with an overhang. Then I used a 16-footer, and you'd use 16-footers until you get to your last end bay, and which would be an 18-footer. If it ended, say you ended there on your 16s, then you could use like a 10-footer. If you had like a 15-inch, if your last bay, if you ended right there on a 16, you could use a 10-foot board on this right here because you have 8 feet from the center to center, and then you need enough to get your overhang. So that's what we did. Now I just got to put my end wall fascia boards up, which I'm going to get a measurement, and then actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line this thing up, screw it up there, and then I'll cut it both sides since these are all flush. So I can just let it overhang a little here, let it overhang a little at the top, and then I can cut my 4/12 pitch. Alright, got a little bit of snow last night. It's cold today. This is what I wanted to avoid, but never fails. I want to get my roof sheathing on today so I can get my metal on tomorrow. So I need to put my second header up on the inside. I just would like both headers up as I'm going to start adding more weight to this roof. So We're gonna go ahead and get those cut, put up, and then we'll start, we'll square the building. I'll show you how I do that. And we'll start putting this sheathing on. So I'm gonna set you over here. I've already got a measurement for that one across there. So I'm gonna cut it and we'll put it up with the lift, and then we'll do this one on the other side. All right, we have the two inside headers on, so I feel good about that. Now we have to square the building. So when I build my walls on the ground, I make sure that they are exactly the same dimension across the bottom and across the top. As long as they are the same dimension, bottom and top, you can plumb the corners. The corners are the most important part of your building when it comes to squaring. If those aren't square, you're only gonna be able to get one side of your roof square. So what I'm gonna do is I have these cross chains up here already, and I'm gonna start with the long wall, and I got these ratcheting binders, so I'll put a level on the corner post, see which way it needs to go. Then I will fine tune it with this, and we'll be good to go. So I'll do that on both side walls, and then I'll do my end walls. Then I know my four corners are perfectly plumb, and then we can go up and work on the roof. This is a really small building, so it's gonna probably take very little to get the roof square. Well, at least it should. I did use these 6x6s are a little twisted in some spots, but looking at the fascia boards, it looks pretty good. So plumb the four corners, then I'll get up there, I'll run a string line across the front and see what my rafter tails look like, and then we'll go from there. All right guys, so I checked these back two corners and they were both identical. They both needed to go that way. So what I did is I hooked on the chain that's on the top over there, and I ratcheted it and pulled that wall, the top of that wall, the way it needed to go until it was plumb. Sometimes, depending on how tight your chains are, you might have to unhook the other chain, which I did just to let the wall move enough, and then you can rehook it. So I rehooked it, checked it, we're good, and now I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So we'll get that done, and then we'll do our end wall. Alright guys, I got all four corners plumbed. Went pretty easy. They all had to be pulled a little bit one way. Got that done, so now I'm going to get a string line, run it across my fascia boards over here, see which trusses I need to pull which way. It's probably going to be very minor. We'll get that done, we can start putting plywood on this thing. Alright, so now we're going to get our fascia board all straightened out. So I got a screw at each end of the building, so I have one down there, and now you can look at this string line, and I want to match the reveal right there all the way down, and I can see in the middle, you can kind of see how it the middle of the building needs to be pulled out towards me. So we'll go ahead and get some straps, and we will pull those tops of those columns this way, which will bring that fascia board out where we need it. So I'm gonna go get some straps, and we'll get that done. All right, you can see I have straps going from the back side of the truss down here, and I've got this all pulled where I want it, so we are good that way. I just have to pull that column and that column out this way a little bit, and we'll be good to go. After that, the only thing we need to do is make sure the peak is square. So we'll pull a diagonal from there down to here, pull that roof whichever way we need to go, and we start laying plywood. Alright, so I checked my squareness of my roof. So I measured from there up to the peak, from there down to here, got my diagonal, then I measured from the peak down to here, and I'm like an 1/8 inch off. So I'm good with that, because as I run that plywood up, I'll be able to, it'll be almost perfect. It's not off very much, 1/8 of an inch, I can live with that. So we're gonna go ahead and start run our sheathing. So we're just going to talk about the fasteners we use in today's video. As far as the fascia board goes, I use 3-inch screws, 3 to 3.5 inch screws to attach my fascia board to my truss tails. As far as the 1/2 inch roof sheathing, I use 2 5/16 ring shank nails. I love using ring shanks because the pull-out power is just so much better than smooth shank. And I put these on about a 6 to 8 inch nailing pattern. So there's going to be 7 to 8 inch or 7 to 8 nails across each purlin. And then on the edges, I drop that down, and I have usually about 9 nails on the edges. So just keep that in mind. These work really well. I like using an air nailer when I can and the cord's not in the way. They're just so much faster. I feel like they're more efficient. However, I do have a nice cordless pass load that works really well that I do use for certain situations. We've got some questions about why we put our plywood vertical on our roofs versus horizontal. In typical stick frame construction, your trusses are 2 foot on center, so you run your plywood horizontally because you're connecting to more trusses across that way. In post frame construction, where you have purlins, that 2 foot on center is going up the roof pitch, so you want to turn your plywood so it's running vertical, so you're attaching to more of those purlins all at once. So you're hypothetically just turning that roof system 90 degrees. The next thing, we use synthetic paper on most of the builds that's rated for steel. We use 5/16 staples. The stapler, I use a hand stapler. They do make air staplers. The best one I found is this used to be Duofast, but Pass Load bought out Duofast. This right here is the best one I found. It's the HT 550. It is a little bit more difficult to load, but clearing jams and all that is amazing. It's got this little spring here. You can just pull that off, and this whole part just drops out, and you can clear jams really easily with it. And loading isn't all that bad once you get used to it. As far as loading it, you just pull this clip up. There's a little, hold that, drop your staple in, and then this is what pushes the staples down. But once you get used to it, it loads pretty fast, and it almost sets the staples perfectly flush every single time. That's why I like it. A couple other things we can talk about is some jurisdictions will require H-clips, and those are little clips that go between your plywood sheets that hold them together. Whenever you're doing a steel roof, you don't want to use those because they will show through the steel. When you lay your steel down and you screw it down, you will be able to see where those clips are. Same thing with the staples. Even that little staple, if you're not getting them flush with the plywood, there is the potential that they will show through your steel, so just keep that in mind. Alright guys, that's going to be a wrap on today's show. Hopefully you found that interesting, helpful. The next video in this series we'll be putting on our drip edge, metal roofing, and all the trims, so be sure to come back and check that out. As always, we appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, share it with your friends, and we will catch you on the next video.